Thank you. So, yep, I'm Pete, and I was recently studying at autism research at Stirling University. My dissertation was into time in nature and autistic mental well-being, um, and I conducted a thematic analysis on the basis of responses from 11 participants to 3 questions, semi-structured interviews, basically asking. Um, what does time in nature do for you, your well-being? What are the barriers, and how can we help you? What's needed to overcome that? So why am I asking? Well, we know that autistic mental health and well-being is very poor. Also, we know from work that Sunny Hallett did with Catherine Crompton 2018 for Autistic Mutual Aid Society Edinburgh. Too complicated to treat was the title of the report. We know that there's discrimination against us in mental health service provision. And if you go to your GP and you complain of stress, anxiety, depression, you may be given a natural prescription and asked to go and spend some time in nature, but that provision is in no way differentiated for neurodivergent people. Anyway, the analysis that I conducted was conducted against Nussbaum's capabilities approach. And her capabilities approach is very influential in public policy. So Martha Nussbaum's been at this for years and has a huge reach. So the World Health Organization's mental health report from 2022 is really, absolutely full of her approach, and it should therefore be coming into UK policy. What are capabilities? Well, they're the real opportunities that allow for a good life. We have these things, we should be enjoying a good life. It's open to adaptation for different groups. She's provided a set of 10, but we are encouraged to amend them. I'm not expecting you to read all this. That's just the detail you can come back and have a look at. But Pelicano down in Australia has done the work with colleagues in 22 to see how much research was done into these different capabilities that people should be able to enjoy, choose to have if they wish to. And the area that I'm looking at, time in nature, fits within other species. It's the least researched of them all. Play for adults, second least, and practical reason, the third least research. Now, practical reason is your ability to think things through. If you need to spend time in nature to be able to get your head together, and you can't, then you're being deprived of practical reason. And Nussbaum says that practical reason suffuses all other capabilities. So you've got your whole ability to lead a life worth living is impacted if you need to spend time in nature and you can't. Right. So, my themes and sub-themes. Well, time in nature is a resource that can offer all sorts of comforts. It's not medication. It's not a cure-all, but it can provide a sensory heaven. It's a place where people can be their authentic selves. But for those of us who've been struggling with mental health, as I did before and after late diagnosis, you get to the point where you realize that nobody is coming to help you, as one of our participants said, and you have to do the hard work yourself. Services don't work. It gets really messy and complicated. Nobody tells you actually necessarily that time in nature would help you to feel better, although you might need it. And it can be vitally important for several of my participants were really clear about that. One of them was just completely unable of thinking a really big life problem through when on a train and in the house, in a built environment, on the street. Only walking through nature did things become clear. And also, as well as not necessarily knowing that this is going to help us, we might not know internally that this is something we need to access, because when you're going downhill, your ability to read yourself can sometimes be impaired through alexithymia. So, as I said, Nussbaum's set of 10 she encourages people in different places and from different groups, the disabled, um, to adapt these and to add to them. And going back to 2016, a moral philosopher had a look at how she understood autism at that time, and said that we needed to add the capability of being properly understood and properly cared for, protected from sensory overload. I think a lot of us will sympathize or identify with that. Ability to communicate and to be properly understood, loved, and given sufficient attention. And we need that in addition to the other 10 to be able to enjoy the good life. Where I got to with the analysis that I did was that we also needed the capability of being properly assisted to understand ourselves, understand our needs, and achieve the ability to have our voice heard, so that we can get our needs met. That is where I think we still need to go, where we're lacking. And that chimes quite nicely with work done in America, 350 participants saying that they wanted self-initiated, gatekeeper-free, community-available approaches to improve their mental well-being, partly to avoid practitioners with inadequate training. This idea that we should be able to get that is actually now being adopted by the World Health Organization, who suggests that we need to be able to get self-help training out there. But this has not yet been adapted by the autistic community for our mutual support. And I think there's work there to be done. I'm wanting to get my work into publication, but I feel really out of my depth doing that. So my contact details are there if anybody wants to lean in and help there. There's some more information here that Fergus says he's there, sorry, happy to provide.